in this place. So it's paradoxical.
Yeah. And it's, if I personalise that, it brings maybe another dimension into it, insofar as, yes, the shifts seem to happen on their own, or the changes of perception seem to happen on their own, but the work, if you like, provides often a basis of understanding of what has happened or is happening. And there's a tremendous help in that, because it helps to diffuse the power of the mind. If something happens and it's, it is very different way of looking at things, I get another way of seeing life, seeing how everything fits together. My mind can get very concerned about that. But if it understands, then that helps diffuse that, which allows more of a falling in and accepting of that space.
Yes. But I think at this point we also need to be careful that we don't create conditions that something needs to happen before we can be here. I think it's very easy to do that, to think that before we can be here we need to do a certain practice, or a certain understanding has to happen in order to be here. Whereas if we just return here, which we can now, we see that we don't need anything. We don't need any understanding to be here. We don't need to be meditating. This is not the fruition of meditation. In a way, it is the fruition of meditation. It's like meditation just happening without needing to do it. There's no action of meditation, no meditator.
Yeah, I think the way that I also see it is that if we're not happy with our life, it's pretty stupid not to try and do something about it. And what we might do might actually take us in the wrong direction. But it's better to do that than just to sit there and complain and do nothing and be miserable and suffer. I think that's where I've got to with that these days. And like you, I see the dilemma involved, yes. So what's your practice these days personally? You're still a big meditator?
Yes, I'd say it's more that meditation happens. I don't sit down in a regimented way, but I do a lot of meditation. I do a lot of work by telephone, a lot of workshops, a lot of traveling. So I have a very rich practice. The practice is really coming through my teaching, and in a way what I'm called forth to bring through when I'm teaching, and then how I live my life, so that I can fulfill in a way the karmic role that I have in the most effective way possible. So I don't get in the way of sharing a non-dual transmission, non-dual awareness with others.
And you talked earlier about sometimes these are not your words, these are more my words interpreting what you said. But you were saying something like you lose the space and then you find the space again. Why do you think you still lose the space?
The habit energy of the conditioned mind. That something happens, going back to the point we were making about integrating the conditioned into this moment. That something happens at a conditioned level in terms of what someone is saying often, or something that's happening in my body, or something in the environment, a deadline or whatever. So something is happening in the conditioned sphere that falls outside the parameters of what can be integrated in non-dual awareness. As soon as it falls outside, then a reaction arises. In other words, it goes over the boundary of my preferences. So I'm just saying that I still have preferences. So if I find myself outside of a preferred way of being, then a reaction happens. That's when it's easy to think we've lost this. When we're here, we can see that we can't lose this. So again, it's paradoxical. When we're here, we can see that we cannot lose this because there's nothing to lose. But then like this miraculous thing happens that we think we've lost this. Right? Now it's impossible. But like a shift happens and then we really think, I've lost this. I haven't got it anymore. And so then, for me, it's a process of just reconnecting with this space, many, many times. As I said, 10, 100, 1,000 times. So gradually we become more familiar. So gradually this becomes a more central component, dimension.
Are you aware at the time of the reaction?
No. No, I don't think it's possible to actually be aware of the moment at which we lose this, because if we were aware of that, it couldn't happen.
Well, you see, I can only personalise it. But I know for myself increasingly, when I have a reaction, I know I'm having a reaction, but it's too strong. When I say, I'm not using that as an excuse, these are the words that are coming out now, but there's such a strength in the reaction, it's stronger than something else here that is watching the reaction or is aware of the reaction.
Yes.
I'm increasingly aware of this whole process, and it's... And I have to be patient with myself, really. It's no good, as you know, judging yourself and saying I shouldn't be doing this, and that's right. And then I find balance again, and then something else happens, and I'm off again, and it's just an ongoing thing that seems to get less dramatic, shall we say, and hopefully moving more towards this. Well, let me ask you about silence.
Yes.
A lot of the people we've had on here, I remember Gangaji was the last person, I think. She talked about experiencing silence and how important that was somehow. Is that something in you that... Tell me about silence, how you experience
Talk about silence. Isn't that great?
It's possible, yeah.
Right. Well, I think that... the one way to be present to that silence is by, in a way, seeing that there's nothing that we need to talk about. So we run out of subject matter. So when we run out of subject matter, then we're just here in what? We don't even have to put a label. We don't have to put a label on this, then the silence is happening, because we're not trying to get anywhere. So again, we're not looking for an end point. There is no end point. So if there's no end point, it's just being here without any agenda, with nothing to do. Thoughts can still be happening, but we're not going anywhere with them. So they're just moving through awareness, and then we're just resting. I think the silence just emerges of its own accord in that process of going beyond the mind.
Well, I feel quite silent. I'm also aware, because I'm peeking at the clock just behind you, we have about 2 minutes left. And anything you'd like to say in the last 2 minutes?
I'm really appreciating you. I'm really appreciating being here, appreciating where we are right now, and thanking you very much for the opportunity of sharing this time with you.
Thank you, Peter. I'm just going to mention again that you have out a book, Radiant Mind, and hold these up to the camera, hopefully, and a CD set. And I've read the book and listened to the CDs, and it's very interesting, and I found it very helpful at times, so I recommend these. And, of course, you do your courses, 9-month courses. You can find that on Peter's website. So thanks for coming to see us at Conscious TV and chatting with me, and good luck with your work, and thank you everybody for watching Conscious TV, and I hope we see you again soon. Goodbye.